So we're going to talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters again. If you don't like the movie, please do scroll on. I am an adult. I do realise that you don't have to like the same things I do. Adieu. So anyway, sequels, prequels, and possible series. So, for sequels, obviously, I'd like to see some more backstory on the girls, stuff about their family, how they came to become a group. Because at the moment, we know how Rumi became a group, but how did Celine find Rumi, not Rumi, Mirror and Zoe? How did she find them? We want more. So that's obviously a possibility. And I'm going to come back to sequels again, but we're going to go back now to prequels though, because I'd quite like to see a movie on not a series, a movie on the first hunters, how they got their powers, where they came from. I mean, we see that Rumi is part demon, but when she realizes and accepts herself, realizes she's fine as she is, and accepts herself, and doesn't feel she has to hide a part of herself, her markings turn into something completely different, as does her power. So that suggests that potentially, excuse my phone binging, that potentially their powers may have spun or spawned, should I say, from demonic power itself, maybe, or whether was it from a time of gods. In ancient East Asian cultures, there are sort of a lot of places that believed in gods, goddesses, all sorts of things. I'm not familiar as much with Korean culture, but the certainly a prequel showing the original hunters and some of the culture back then, almost like a historical documentary / movie. The way they merged all of the cultural stuff into the current movie was so seamless. I think they could do that in a historical sense as well. And heck, I'd love to see those characters in a static sense, like where they're just talking or something, so I can study those costumes. They're beautiful. I don't think that I'd wear them myself because I think that's potentially cultural appropriation, but they are stunning. They're absolutely beautiful, but they're in such movement that you can't really see them very well. And obviously there's more reason to why I'd want a prequel with the original Hunters as well, because it could help to explain what happened, why Rumi sort of became what she became at the end of the current movie. Now going back to sequels, now the one about the girls could be done in this series, but let's just say, can we do traditional cartoon lengths, Netflix, 5 to 7 episodes per series is just as frustrating as it was in the 90s when I had to wait 7 days for the next episode of a show I was watching. 25 episodes should be the minimum for a cartoon. That is where you get all the story in. You can get a whole series through. You can tell a whole storyline. You can end on a cliffhanger. That's fine, but it gives you time to build up. 5 to 7 episodes really doesn't give you time to do much, and it ends up just being rushed. And there are several cartoons where that has happened. There are some that have done really well, but the ones that have done really well have had longer episodes. Now, this is the other sequel I would like to see, or something I'd like to see in a sequel. The Tiger and the Magpie. I don't want any mention of the nickname that the West are giving it, because I've made a video on this before. It is the design of him and the magpie, or her and the magpie. I didn't see any genitals, so I can't guess what gender it is. It could be a god and have no gender. But anyway, they're taken from ancient Korean paintings, and they have cultural significance. Therefore, the nickname that's going round, I don't think is very appropriate, nor do I think is very funny or cute. I can say about myself that I have resting dirt face, but we don't describe ancient cultural designs as such. Moving on. Now, we saw the tiger and the magpie at the end, and they seem to be just staring down at the girls, going about their day. Why? Could it be that they are something more important? Could they be perhaps ancient beings trapped in their current forms? You do have in sort of ancient cultures where animals can become human. Certain mythology does allow for that sort of thing to happen, or for sort of certain humans that have done something to get to a certain level in, say, magic or spiritual power, can then transform into other sort of forms. So are they something more important? Are they... it would be interesting to know if perhaps something came before the Demon King. Because, again, why does Rumi's power, when she's a half-demon, is it really because it's a half-demon, or is it because of her mindset? Because we know that the markings are there to allow the Demon King to control his demons. But Rumi isn't controlled by him. And yeah, that's probably because she is a part demon. But at the same time, how does a part demon even come to be if he's in control of his demons all the time? So perhaps there was something before. Perhaps there was... perhaps the tiger and the magpie were in human form at some point, or were some kind of celestial beings, and perhaps the Demon King too was a celestial being at some point. Perhaps they were even friends, but the Demon King betrayed them, became the I want to say Goma, but that's a Legend of Zelda character, and it's gone right out of my head, and I have the image of him in my head, but the name's farting out this ear. But anyway, I'd love a sequel where we see what's up with the tiger and the magpie, because I think there's something more about them. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you're still here. Also give me the wavy emoji. Anyway, thanks to anyone who did listen this far. See you next time. Bye.